Hi guys, how you going? Welcome to Tuesday Night Live, an ongoing collaboration between Help Me Build My Business Australia Group and 1111 Hour. You have to put up with me tonight. I'm Corinne from Mile Furniture. I'm stepping in for Tabitha because she's got a double booked appointment, so to speak, and couldn't be here, unfortunately. Cherry is also with us in the background doing all of her tech stuff. If it wasn't for her, none of this would be happening. Just briefly about me, I suppose. I'm Corinne, and again, I own Mile Furniture, and basically I refurbish furniture, take old pieces and sort of create them and make something new and wonderful out of them. And I'm also starting to get into the decor side of things as well. So I guess in a nutshell, my business is all about upcycling furniture and then presenting it beautifully for your home. That's what I do. I'm very heavily involved in Help Me Build My Business Australia and 1111 Hour, and have been since, I want to say, November last year-ish, perhaps. I just happened to see a post that Tabitha put up in another group that we were both in, and we just sort of hit it off. And I've made amazing friendships, and I've got an amazing support system now from both of these, and I'm finding myself now in such an amazing place to actually build my business. So it's been an amazing journey for me so far. Just while we're waiting for everybody to come on, let's just talk about the 1111 Hour store for a minute. So for those of you who don't know, the 1111hour.com actually is comprised of a store. I consider it to be like a Australian small business directory, so to speak, because every item sold on that store is exclusive to that website. So that's 1111hour.com. The items on there cannot be purchased anywhere else. Some of the items include, and I've got to talk about this one for sure, is the book In Her Words, written by our very own Tabitha Thompson. So 100% go and check that one out. There are awesome unisex slogan t-shirts by Joker's Custom Stickers, in there as well. There's a whole bunch of t-shirts and mugs and tumblers and all sorts of things in there. There's also some beautiful homeware stuff by Kate Cook of Fantasy Creations. She makes some absolutely amazingly stunning macrame products. So when you have a minute, head over to 1111hour.com and go and do some purchases. There's also, you can support Chris Hall on his quest to find a cure for motor neuron disease. He has some lovely little key rings being sold over there, and what an amazing charity to be actually selling things for. Another thing that's happening over there at the moment is, if you're not aware, April is actually Autism Awareness Month. So we have a competition on the website at the moment where you can win 1 or 3 sensory prize packs. So head over to 1111 Hour to enter that. All of the instructions and everything are over there, so you can learn more. And without further ado, let me introduce to you Leighanne, who is an amazing business mentor and author, and the reason that we are all here tonight. So thanks for being here, Leighanne, and over to you.
Thank you, Corinne, for the intro, and welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My gosh, thank you, Tabitha, Cherry, Corinne, 1111 Hour, Help Me Build My Business Australia community. I am pumped to talk to you tonight about publishing your own book. Now, I am in the process of publishing my first book, and it is not finished yet, and it's not available, except it's available for pre-order. But I want to talk to you about how I got here and why. And mainly, I want to talk to you about your story, the story that you've got inside of you that you want to share with the world. And what happens in the process when you start to decide to create a book, how you can become your best friend and help yourself do it, or you can become your worst enemy. Can you relate? Can anyone relate? I mean, I know that I'm in the presence of authors already, so I'm, very respectful to all of you, Tabitha especially. But the process has been, for me, very challenging, but it has also been a really healing process and something that I highly recommend. So, have you ever thought about writing your own book? I mean, a book these days can be many different things. It can be an ebook. It can be a book on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. It can be a printable book, so a book that can be that you can sell on Amazon, and it can be printed when a person orders it. Or you can actually pay someone else to publish your book and then have copies of it delivered, and you can sell it through your own shop or anything like that. So has anyone tried to, write a book themselves and started but never finished? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear, if you've ever tried to write a book before. Now, I have only recently really got into this book writing thing, but I have written a number of ebooks over the years, and some of them have been really successful. And it surprised me how it was usually things that I knew about that I would put in an ebook and then sell for a few, maybe $6 here or there. But it was stuff that I knew and not many people knew, and they're the sort of topics that would sell. So, for instance, in one of my other businesses, I used to make hats, and so I wrote an ebook about how to make hats and how to market hats. So that was a really niche topic. For instance. But just a bit of background about myself. Oh, yes, you've got a second novel in the future, Tabitha. That is awesome. It is, I know, a story brewing in my head. I relate to that so much. Just to give you a bit of background about myself, I'm basically an entrepreneur at heart, and that's why I'm in this group. And at the moment, I do work full time and I have a side hustle. But in the past, and I've had multiple businesses. So the first one I had was a millinery business where I trained to become a milliner to make hats for Spring Carnival and all of that. And I ran that out of my studio in Geelong in a building called Belcher's Corner. And then I also started to learn how to do remedial massage, and I became a wellness practitioner and became qualified. And so I would run my business from my studio in Ryrie Street as well. And that business grew until I ran it for 5 years. I had over 600 customers, and it was a 6-figure business. And it was actually a wonderful experience until the pandemic came. And the pandemic had a huge influence on the wellness industry, and a lot of us were burnt out because we were dealing with everyone and their stress. And a few of us were able to keep operating during some of the restrictions. And so we were able to help people who were in a lot of stress, who couldn't go to gyms and things like that. And at the end of 2021, I decided to close that business down and try to do some other things. And that one of those is coaching, which I trained to be an NLP practitioner. And I've done a lot of, I've actually been a student of a lot of other coaches, and that's all helped me through to writing my book. Now, what I want to talk to you about tonight is where you've got a story inside of you that is pressing against your chest, that you have to tell. Like, do you know that story? Do you know what I mean? Because the story I'm writing is non-fiction, and it's a story that terrifies me to even talk about. It's not that scary for anyone else, but for me, it's hard to talk about. And it's been in me since 2013 the story started, but in 2017 it ramped up, and it's still going today, this saga that I talk about. It's about a building in Geelong that got demolished by the council, and has cost me and a group of owners over $5 million. And I still can't believe that. And I'm still grappling with how to solve it. So what I just knew that I had to, first of all, find a way to heal and come to grips with what had happened and be able to go, you know what, I'm learning something here that's going to help people. And this is the story. This is the story. How can I turn this trauma into something that can help others? Because what's it all for otherwise? What's it all for? So I knew this story had to come out of me. And that's when I had to start writing my story. Now, I needed help. I couldn't do it on my own. So I joined a class called Write a Book in 40 Days with, it's one of Leighanne Dawson's classes. And this lady teaches you how to write a book in 40 days. Now, I was like, right, if I'm going all in, I'm all in. And that's my personality. And I'm telling you now that getting started is the easiest part of writing a book, because every time you go back to edit it, or when you're getting to the last few chapters, you're getting to the last few pages, it is the hardest part. The finishing is the hardest part of this. And, you know, I talk to people all the time about stories they have inside them they want to share with the world, and they don't want to get started even. So, you know, you'll know if you have to speak your truth. You'll know that the story is something there that needs to be shared. Now, one of the things that Leighanne does teach is that if you can come to a way of closure or closing the trauma when you're writing the book, or that helps, because writing it whilst you're still in it is going to be really hard to do. And I do agree with that. And I think I've got the benefit of my saga having gone for so long that I've established a good set of skills in resilience. And this is how I'm able to write about it and talk about it and all of that sort of stuff. So, you know, and I just think, hey, I've got to always reframe things and look at things in a positive too, because you know what, it's actually just money and a building. No one died. You know, there are so many blessings about it that I see that have come of it that have changed my life for the better. And this is the feeling that I want to draw into. And this is what when I ever hear of stories about trauma or everything, I want to be able to relate it to someone, to others, and how it can help them. So I'm just looking at all these amazing comments. So yes, I've seen, Kate, you're writing a short story and you've written in a couple of DIYs. Oh, that's cool. And yeah, no, that's all right, Tabitha. I do believe in transmuting the energy of negative into positive with things that we go through. And it's really easy for me to say it now because I've got the benefit of hindsight. But when I was in it, in the real depths of despair, there was nothing in my mind that I couldn't even function on a day-to-day basis. I couldn't even get dressed. So there was no way I could think about writing a book then. It sort of comes later. And I think when you hear things on the radio that are like apartment buildings in Sydney that a lot of people were affected by, that ended up they lost their homes and their money and things like that. And I hear stories like that and I'm like, yes, that's like our story. People buying apartment buildings and they don't know what they're getting into. That's my story. That's part of my story. I want to help those people. I want people who've never bought property before to go, hang on, I need to do a real double check on this and learn, have I ticked all these boxes before I say yes to buying that apartment in an older style building, stuff like that, because that's really where the stuff in my book can help them. So it's not just like, woe is me. Yes, it's a messy book, but then it's going to tell you how I got out of it. And it's also to give you productive information to move forward with that. So maybe that helps you in thinking about how could you look at your story and what is it of value to the world. Now, firstly, I just want to show you something. Well, I'm going to ramble, but hopefully I'll keep on track to what we're on about. But I just wanted to bring to mind now some books that have changed my life. And I want you to think about books in your life or in your libraries that have changed your life. And think about where you would be if you didn't know about that book. because this is the power that books have. Books have the ability to get stuck in your mind and stay with you forever. And some of the teachings are so profound that that's what I love about it. And this is why I don't want you to shy away from the celebrity side of this. You know, if you're wanting to write a book, start to talk about yourself as an author. Even if you've only written 1 or 2 pages, start to get that energy of like, you know what, I'm an author, I'm doing this, I'm so down for that. And start giving the world that sense of that you're a storyteller. And a book that I love, and you don't even have to have a lot of words, and this is why I wanted to show you this book here. You've probably all seen it, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, right? So it's quite a big, I don't know where to show you if you can see that, but it's a beautiful book that a lot of people have, and they read it for their children. But it has a beautiful message in it. And one of the pages that I wanted to share with you is about the horse. There's a horse in it. I don't know if you know this beautiful horse, and it can fly. You know, this horse can fly. But he says in here, and this breaks my heart, he says, "There's something I haven't told you," said the horse. "What's that?" said the boy. "I can fly, but I stopped because it made other horses jealous." And the boy says to the horse, "Well, we love you whether you can fly or not." And then the horse is like, "Okay." And then he flies, right? And he puts them all on their back and he takes them on this magical journey. You see? And when I read that, and that's just one of the beautiful messages in it. But when I read that, it made me feel like it just opened up something in me that said, you're hiding your gifts because you're not sharing them. And I don't really know my gift. Do you know what I mean? Like we kind of see, we don't often know how we're seen. But when we're not showing up and we're not telling our stories, people don't get to know us and they don't get to know our unique slant on things. And that's why you got to give yourself permission to fly, because it doesn't matter if you fail. It doesn't matter if it's a success. It's just that you gave it a go and you got it out there and you contributed your story. That's what this is about. And if that's a motivation for any of you, I hope that you can take that from this whole, like all this ramblings of me tonight. But that's one thing I want you to take away, is that you all have to be able to go, you know what, I'm born. So this gives me the right to be expressing who I am and what I want to say in the world, whatever that may be. And we all deserve to be heard. So I hope that just gives you a little sense of why this is important. And when I was formulating my story to tell the world as well, I was thinking, who the hell would want to read this crap? Like that's what my mind will say to me. It will say, you don't want to even start writing the story, but the story had to come out. And as soon as I started writing and I started doing the 40 days, and I did it every single day, and I set my goal as 80,000 words, I got to 70,000. So that's considered a novel. So you'll learn this from Leighanne if you do her course. So there's novellas, there's novels, there's ebooks, there's all kinds of different word counts. Mine is, my book is now at 75,000. And I did 1.5 to 1,700 words a day. Okay. So, and that's what I do. I just did that typing and I just committed. And by committing to the process, the words came. You think, oh, how's the words going to come out of you? But they do, especially if it's that story that's pressing on your chest to get out. It wants to come out. The universe is put it inside of you to tell it, right? So you're going to feel it and it comes out and then you can't stop. That's right, Jerry, you're writing. And it's like, my God, what is this? It's just, and when you read it again, you're like, oh, shit. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you can swear on this screen. Anyway, we won't be, that'll be all the swear words tonight. But we'll just, you read back in it, you just feel the energy of you at that moment and what you went through, you know? So it's very powerful stuff. And I do find it really, I believe that too, Keandra, that's right. The right people who need to hear it or read it, they'll find it. I always say that. That's sort of like, I think Denise Duffield Thomas or someone, one of them, my mentors has said that too, you know, may the people who need me find me. You know, so yeah, and may the people who need you find you. But how are they going to find you if you're not telling the story? I've got friends who've written books, and I've got them here. These friends wrote these books, so they're my inspiration. Alicia and James and Christine Knox, through the wellness community, they wrote their books, so they inspired me. Other people who inspired me, Brené Brown, my gosh, she's amazing, totally amazing. I talk about Denise Duffield Thomas. I don't know if any of you have read her stuff, but she's a legend in my world. So I've got all these things, but the one book that changed my life was written by Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. So people, I don't know if you know about this, but look at her book. Like, I don't know if you can see, this is really hard to show you, but it's beautifully written and it's colourful and it's got all these gorgeous pictures. So it's not just about writing words. You can make a book filled with pictures if you want to. So I type on my computer in Word. One of the things I'm learning now, and you'll probably find this too, being busy people, is that you have to decide what's your zone of genius and what you want to spend your time doing. So I like writing the book in a Word document, and then the editing process comes after that, and you can use other software so that formats it to look like a book. Now, when you're uploading it to something like Amazon KDP or Kindle Direct Publishing, it has its own editing software and it edits it for you, but it's kind of clumsy. So what I'm doing is I'm getting people from Fiverr. So there's a company, website called Fiverr, and there's people there that you can ask to help format it for you and put it into edited for book format for printing. So you can do it that way. And they can also help you with covers and the blurbs and all of the spine and everything like that, especially when you're putting on Amazon, because you want to have a catchy picture of your book so that it gets attention, and it has to look good in black or white as well. So these are things that you can learn from Leighanne, but these are things that I've picked up along the way in doing the insofar as with the book. The other things that you'll come across with relation to the books is an ISBN number, so you need one of those. Also, you don't need them for ebooks and electronic books, but if you need them for if you want to publish it properly, because then it gets catalogued, and it's a way of identifying your book in a book community, and it's really useful information. And you can get that. You can Google that where to get them. But they're one of the companies that I've got here. It's called myidentifiers.com.au. So yeah, the blurb, all that stuff. Get a nice photo. So I'm in the process of getting a nice photo done of me. I want to be all relaxed and chilled out, and like being my best self for that photo. So anyway, so yeah, so that's one of the things I want to do. And what else is there? Oh, there's some software called Atticus, which you can use for formatting the book. But there's other things like Scrivener as well that you can use to write the book in. So if you don't want to use Word, a lot of people love Scrivener, which is awesome because you can use it when you're still piecing the story together. And if you've got, say, characters and you want to write, there's a name for it. I can't think of what the name they call it, but you can write a whole story about the characters first and set up all your characters, and then it helps you work out all your plots and how you bring them all together, if that's how you work. A lot of people like that. But I'm sure if anyone else has got any ideas of, thank you, Kat. I do ballroom dancing. That's why I need nails. Anyway, so I will, anyone else can share anything about, any other places that they use for book, formatting or software or anything like that, just share away. But Fiverr is awesome for finding people who do this kind of work if you don't want to do it yourself. And I've been really mulling this over, this idea of me formatting it, and you know what I mean? Like, we now have small business, we all want to do all of the things. How hard is it when you want to get someone else to help you do stuff in your business, like getting someone to do your social media or getting someone to help you with admin. So I have really struggled with that, and I have to go, I'm not an expert in how to format a book. I'm writing one, but I don't know how to format it. I want to pay someone to do it properly. So you have to have those conversations with yourself to say, where's the best use of my time? And ultimately, yeah, you're going to have to let some of that go. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is about editing. So I've edited my book myself 3 times, and I found it really difficult because every time I read it, I go back into that world, and then I'm like, oh God, and I feel it all again. So I'm feeling all the pain and then the coming out or whatever. And that's really hard. So I have to manage my time and set very clear time frames with myself, and I'll take a wad of it and I'll read it and I'll go through it. I've asked people to help me, not many, only close confidants, and I don't share it widely because you have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet with this and go, you know what, it's my story. And if they're going to give me feedback, that's okay, but it's not going to stop me from the story writing, and I'm going to put it out anyway. So that's an important point in all of this, because that could be a way of someone stopping themselves from finishing a book or getting stuck in procrastination because they'll be like, oh no, they don't like it. So maybe then I shouldn't write this book, or maybe I should change it. No. So you've got to be really cautious about your story, protecting the story. And if people are editing it for you, you've got to say to them, it's for formatting and grammar. It's not, I don't want you to tell me what you think about the story, because ultimately the judging of the story is going to be, it's not going to be even if it sells. For me, it's going to be if I finish it and I've got it in my hand and I'm holding on to it. That to me is success. I'd love to sell it as many copies as I could, but to have that completed for me will be really holding in my hands, which will be here very soon. That is for me, job done. But then there's the marketing side, which we've all got to do that too, which is a whole nother topic. And I'm just saying, I'm just looking at comments. Yes, Corinne, editing is hard to do. I find it's harder than writing it. And yes, Roy, lived experience is a great source of material for your story. Sometimes we don't know how valuable our experiences are until we ask the right questions. It's so true. Absolutely true. Yes, yeah. I'm just catching up with the comments. I think so too, because forever you're changing things around. I can't imagine never being satisfied, never finishing. So yes, procrastination. I'm a Virgo, right? Don't hold that against me, but I am a perfectionist. And that means that, yes, I can get stuck in perfectionism, and that can be a bad thing. So it's 80-20 all the way. 80-20, you've heard of it? You just got to get the job, get it done. And if you ever do Leonie's course, she says the same thing. She will say, take action, take action, take action. Mind you, she swears a lot more than me. Just giving you a warning there. And I'm an affiliate of hers. That's why I keep mentioning it. Yes, how are we going for time? So we're halfway through. So I just wanted to I just want to mention a few things here about when you write a story. We've talked a little about being seen and heard and how that can be triggering for you. It might really, start to tug at your heartstrings or to play, your mind can play tricks on you. But just go back to this idea of who are you not serving by not doing it? And writing a book is great because you get to say it your way. You get to set boundaries. You get to put your story out there. It's a legacy. It's in print. It's done. It's dusted. It's there. And for me, in my story, I want that because I want to be the voice that has never been heard. See, a lot of people have talked about our situation in the paper, but they've never actually heard what the real story was. And for me, that's compelling. And that's why I've held it in my body for so long. And that's why I have to say it my way. And the other side is, yes, I'm terrified of legal implications. So some of you might find that challenging too. And I've found that to be able to write a story about a tricky topic, you have to write it from a place that isn't, you can't be defamatory. So you have to think about how can you write this in a way that's going to be, the people around you will thank you for it. They're not going to sue you for it. Okay, so that's been a big thing in my story. So maybe that's something, and you can always get a lawyer to look at this stuff for you too, to get it checked, because there are special lawyers that do work in publishing if the story is difficult. And in Australia, we obviously do have defamation rules, so you have to be aware of that because you don't want to be painting anyone in a light, even though they might not be the best person. but you've got to be aware of that too with what you're writing. So that would just be a little bit of a caveat on that, on what you're writing. But then others in my other groups that I'm in as well who help me with these challenges, they've suggested you could write it as an alias. So you can do that. But mine is going to be based in fact, and it's historical record. That's how I look at it. But yes, if you were worried about your story or people that you want to mention, you can go in as with an alias for your own name and even for the characters in the story. I still think I've got a lot of other books in me now. What's happened is now I want to write these other books, you see. It's really opened up a whole thing, and I want to write fiction now. I want to do other things in that space because I just feel like your imagination is it just opens up like this amazing sort of flow of energy that you can't kind of get addicted to it, which I like. And so, so I want to keep going with it, and hopefully that you can be inspired to do that too. What I love about writing books is it helps you gain perspective on things. It helps you start to show forgiveness for people that hurt you. It's a way of showing self-compassion that's not in your head. So it's in front of you. It's physical. And sometimes it's very hard for me to explain, but my building, when it was shut down, we lost everything. We lost it all. Like I had to go and find rental space somewhere else in Pakenham Street to reopen my clinic and everything. And my rent went up 3 times in a week. It went up massively. And a lot of it, then we couldn't even go to the building anymore. So it's like my whole world was just ripped out from under me. And then I had to treat people in clinic and be able to do that and not dump on them, what was going on in my life. So there was lots of strategies I had to learn, but it was all in my head. And especially, when you can't say things to people directly. So that's why getting it on paper is a really nice mirror. And it kind of shows you what you went through, and it's like, I think that's amazing. I had no idea it would have that effect on me. So that's one of the benefits. And I think, I guess that's sort of really, I don't want to talk about me so much, but what I want to say is, think about times in your life where there's tall poppies or people who are kind of around you that might strip you down. So if you do want to write a book, think about how you're going to protect your writing space, how you're going to protect your feelings around that, who you're going to tell. See, I think a lot of this is really clever to keep it close to your chest until you're ready to go with it. So that's what I've tried to do. I've kind of said to people, hey, I'm an author, but I'm not giving them, I've said the book's called Lost Property. That's what it's called. And it's on Amazon. You can pre-order it now, but it's not available until July. And that's because of legal things that are going on. But I'm already going to book, and I've approached venues. So I need a venue for my book launch. I want to have, invite as many people to come along and celebrate. And I've bought myself some glitter boots and I need to get a red dress because it's going to be a party and it's going to be a celebration, because it's going to be just marking a time in my life to say, hey, here you go, and just offering it up and then letting it go, so that's sort of, I guess, why I've written a book and what I want to do with it. So I want to complete the whole picture. I would love to be going and do speaking about it when the topic's out there, doing press stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I am really keen to stand by my story and be available to people who want to share in that experience. And then, it's done. And so that hopefully I don't have to write part 2. So anyway, so I don't know. It's not as traumatic as a lot of other traumatic things. So I have to always bring that into perspective. And I actually do see it as a blessing now more than anything. But it's just a way of, I guess, it's a way of dealing with trauma that how I've done it is to write it in a book. Yes. So has anyone got any other questions? So I will go on about things that we need to talk about in terms of writing a book. So you're starting to write your book. You need to get your cover sorted. So think about the title. If you're a person that asks other people, like, for example, if you ask other people what you should price your belongings at, or your things you sell, then you might struggle with picking a title or even picking a topic. So you have to start to get a sense of your own confidence in yourself about what you're doing. So that's why I think if you're gonna ask too many people about it, then it's not really the right energy to go into this. So you've got to sort of have a bit more like authority in yourself as a topic. And that's what I love about this whole group and what this community is doing, because we're seeing everyone and all the authorities on different topics. And, you know, this is what you're doing. By putting something into the world, you're creating yourself as an authority figure. Now, a book can be a great way to sell your business, and you can have this on as something you can sell ongoing to your customers. So if you were thinking about a business book or something else that you know, a self-help book or something like that, this book could be a way for you to get speaking opportunities. It could be a way to get some income in on the side through selling it, either just on Amazon, or you can actually do printed copies. What we're talking about is self-publishing, by the way. I didn't say that at the start. So there's publishing when you find a publisher who publishes your book, and there's also self-publishing. What we're talking about is what I'm talking about is self-publishing. So Leighanne talks about how if you want to go down the publisher route, which I don't want to, but some people find that if their book's successful and they do get quite a following, that can turn into a published book. But then it changes. You do lose a lot of control, and then you do lose money as well. But then you don't make a lot of money on Amazon either. So it depends on how you want to do it. If you want to keep copies and sell them yourself through your own website, or if you and then you probably have to think about the costs associated with that. Or you can do a blend, do a bit of Amazon, the electronic version, the printable version that they do. So someone can place an order on Amazon and they can either get an e-copy or an actual one that's printed and sent. So you don't have to store books at your house, but Amazon does all that for you. So that's really cool. But you don't make a lot of money on it, but you access a lot of different markets around the world. So it's pretty amazing that the reach that it has. So, but you know, that's a big step for me. Like I'm not selling yet. So I've got it available, but I'm not selling a lot of it yet. So that's the next thing after all of this. So yes, Roy was one of my customers. Yeah, Roy's heard a lot from me. He knows. Yeah, it was hard. He's seen me at my worst pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah. But I mean, I was blessed to have Roy come and visit me and I found that being able to work gave me something to do, gave me joy to be able to help my customers, and that got me through. So, and I am an entrepreneur at heart, and I really do. I resonate with all of you when you're in small business and you want to create something amazing for the world. You know, it's so important, and you can't ignore that side of yourself. Even if you work full time, like I work full time, but I have this other stuff. I can't stop having all my, you know, finger in different pies sort of thing. I love doing stuff and creating and helping people. So yeah, so I'm just checking all the other comments. How many percentage is some background research? Oh, yeah, righto. Yeah, so Kat has asked how many percentage is some background research about the subject and how many percentage is your own thoughts and feelings. Well, it's a balance. And yes, most of my book is historical, in order of historical fact. There are moments where I do talk about thoughts and feelings, but mostly I try to do it in a way that's useful to people. It's like skills that I've learnt. And then the rest of it is actual physical, like real sort of information that's useful that people can use to help them in that situation. So, yeah, so it's not all thoughts and feelings. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's any rules in this. I don't think there's any rules in how you write or how you want it. If you want to write a book about feelings or all of it or emotionally just awesomeness, you know, just do it. You know, I don't think there's any right answer to that. And I think that's part of this, is that we might sort of get stuck in this thinking that it's too far of a jump for us. But if I'm doing this, it's not. but I get it done. That's the difference. So you've got to think about that, because your mind is going to play havoc with you. It'll say, oh, just have a night off. You don't need to write tonight. Why don't you just have a rest, And you got to go, no, I'm getting the computer out and I've got to write this thing. And you could be sitting there at 600 words and you got to do 1,600. And that's hard, sitting, what am I going to write? But then you get into the stream and the words come. And then, there's going to be typos and all of that. But you just keep going. So you've got to be honest with yourself, because otherwise you won't get it done, and it won't ever happen. Yes. Well, Amazon has it all figured out. It does. Amazon's amazing. I do love bookshops though. So you can see I'm like right into it. Tabitha, when you wrote your first child's book, it was for charity to raise awareness. My second book was a novel, and motivation was to show my daughters that if they can achieve something in life, they can. Awesome. It's a beautiful thing. And even that's the other thing. Like, I love this idea of when someone wants to create a book for charity. This is true. I was going to show you. One of my friends did this. She created a book. Every year we'd make a book for mental health for the milliners. That's all the hat makers, and it's called the Little Hat Project. And we all used to make hats and put them in the book, and she would publish it, and we would all we would sell them for charity. So this idea for charity is an amazing concept, and it might be a way of motivating you to make a book. If you were needing motivation, I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to raise awareness. So this one was about her mental health. So a lot of milliners used in the olden days used to use chemicals that would make them go mad, and that's where that idea came from. Oh, I just whacked my arm then. Yes, Roy. Your recovery story needs to be told. Enduring the experience is tough and difficult. Finding the rainbows after the storm is a goal we need to strive for. But listening to someone who can share their knowledge is an amazing opportunity to rediscover who you are and the purpose you want to work towards. That's exactly it. Because that's what I feel like we never, in this world at the moment, it's a bit like Halloween every day. And I think the good stories get missed, and I really choose to not, I edit what I listen to so that I can feel purposeful and have something to give back to the world, because I don't think you've given a story that you can't handle. I think that's part of this. I really am a strong believer in the universe and giving us these challenges, and we keep rising to the challenge. It keeps coming back unless we learn like the lesson. What's the lesson that I'm learning? So I always look at it like that. And if that's the lesson that after all of this, that I'm here, even just tonight talking to you guys, I think this is just amazing. I just feel so blessed to be here and sharing with all of you and just seeing the comments. And I'm just so excited to hope you guys write some books so I can read them, because it's, these are the books I want to read. I want to hear what's going on and just, there's our world is just so rich of stories, and we've got so many voices to share. So, and it can be an Audible. That's the other thing. You've just reminded me. I've just got to write a note about that. I love Audible, and I listen because I drive to Melbourne a lot. I train for ballroom dancing in Melbourne, and I'm in the car all the time, and I put on these audio books. What I wanted to share with you, there's a book called The Audacity to Be Queen, by Gina DeVee, I think her name is. And if you ever want to read it, she's awesome. She talks about how, I guess, there's divine feminine, divine masculine, etc. And she talks about how a lot of women live in the world with this sort of wounded feminine aspect, and they spend a lot of their time taking a lot of action and doing things, burning themselves out, basically. And when I was reading that book, I was thinking about when I was writing my book, was I writing it from the place of woundedness? Was I writing too much wounded stuff in there? Because even sharing my story, I don't want to wound you in the sharing of it. I want you to, I don't want you to be burdened with this story. So I'm really aware of that when I'm writing about it, that I want to be able to write it from a place of a queen, which is how she talks. This Gina DeVee, she says, so a queen is more, I guess she's not wounded when she's talking about things. She knows her place in the world. She knows she's got a story, but she's not going to sort of do it in a way that's going to upset people in a way. It's more thoughtful and considered. And that's how I try to look at it in terms of how I would write a book, especially around trauma, because I want people to come away from it at the end to go, this was inspiring, not, oh God, I feel the weight of that, and that girl, I can't, every time I see her, I just think, oh God, trauma. That's what I don't want that feeling to be left with you. I want you to know that this is a joyful thing. There is joy in this. So setting yourself challenges, writing challenges is awesome advice that Tabitha has got there. And with Audible, yes, you can record your story as well, and you can find audiences. Another book you've got that I love, it's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but he's amazing, and he talks about upper limit problems. And writing a book could be really triggering in terms of an upper limit problem. So it could be that you will find ways to be busy instead of writing, or you'll clean your whole house instead of writing. But you know that you've got to give yourself time to write the book, because cleaning's not really going to get you, it's not going to get you your goal, is it? It's not going to make you get that book out there. So you've got to recognize your behaviors. So I highly recommend just even putting that one on in the background if you're feeling like you're not going to keep your motivation as such. Yeah. Silver lining behind every story. Absolutely. It's so true. And we're all blessed. And I just feel really grateful for all of it. So, it's so much that you always learn something from it. I don't see things as failures anyway. I see it as a learning. You don't have any favorites, Kat? Too many? Oh, yes, RuPaul's autobiography. That would be amazing. Yes, I love those kind of stories too. I love just seeing transformational journeys with people. I love sports people as well. I know it might not be very sporty, but I love the mindset of what it takes to be really good at something at a really high level. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's got heaps of ideas here, which is awesome. It's time for generational change. People are passionate about change and improvement with well-being, need to tell their story. Yes, they do. Your story is about prevention. Your compassion is helping people. And awareness of not being sucked into untenable and destructive experiences. Absolutely. Writing a book sounds like a good way to clear your mind, kind of like therapy for oneself, ready to share. Yes. And hey, if you write the book and you don't want to share, like, I get it. But why not? Get it out there. Should you know how your book ends when writing it? Is it okay to change your ending as you see it? I think that's a great question. How would you know? I don't know. I think only you would know. Maybe you could keep writing, and I think they say it gets to a certain point where, like, if you're over like 100 and maybe 110,000 words or something like that, that it starts to get too big for I think non-fiction, fiction. You can Google this. It says it all about how big publishers like books to be. So maybe if you're at, like, say 80 to 90,000 words and you still haven't got your ending, maybe you could think, hang on, is this another book coming? Or could it be split? Maybe it could be 2 smaller books, or could it be a series? There could be a whole lot of things going on there. So, yeah, it's amazing. So I know. I just love this whole idea of these stories that all of you have in you. And yeah, like, you've got to get them out of there. But as I said, it's going to bring up stuff. The fears will get to you. And excuse me, I'm a mum, so I was up even before tonight. I was at basketball watching my daughter play, and then I was here getting changed, coming to this. So, in a normal night, see, at about 8 o'clock is a good time for me to start typing and doing an hour, maybe 45 minutes. So if an hour is a struggle for you, even just saying yourself 45 minutes, you can get a lot done in 45 if you want to. So it's up to you how you do it, but committing the time each day. There was a time I was taking my laptop to work in lunchtimes, doing it as well, because I was in flow. So, that feeling when you're in flow, when it's open, your heart's open, your chest is open, and energy is moving through you. That's when I was writing. So when you're in flow, the words are just coming out like heaps of words. And, when you're pushing yourself, sometimes that's when it can feel more constricted and harder to write. So, you know, sometimes I just like to do a meditation. A lot of the time I do meditate anyway. So I meditate every day, morning and night. That just quietens a lot of the chatter that I have, especially around my topic. But yeah, like I find that helps me feel centered, and I feel like the story comes through in the quiet that the meditation brings. Yeah, good question, Chris. Do people use AI to write books these days? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I think it's an interesting topic. I don't know. Like, I've done a bit of social media with AI, and it always sounds kind of cool. But I think the interesting thing about it, so far, AI is not unique like all of us are. So our uniqueness is sort of difficult to replicate. So until it's out there, and then I'm sure AI can find it. But until your story's out there, yeah, it's unique. I'd like to see AI try to mimic all of us. Yes, Keandra. Oh, yeah, I reckon it is. It could be worth that. If that's something you feel that you would love to do, for sure. Yeah, I'd pay someone to do it. It's just like, I mean, if some people have cleaners to help them around the housework, where do you feel the best use of your time is? If it's not editing it, pay someone to do it for you. So yeah, it's totally your call. And I honestly believe that we've all got that. Each of us is different, so we'd work out the best way for us. I mean, some people are really visual, so they wouldn't even want to write like 80,000 words, but they might want to draw it on a computer, in using software, beautiful sort of like a printable or something that's I've seen goal planners. Leighanne does goal planners where she does them all in colourful watercolors and black writing and everything, and it's all beautifully scripted, and then you can just print it and fill it in like normal, but she does it that way. So her books aren't like a normal book with all these pages, and so it's up to you how you want to do it. It can be anything you want it to be these days. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much I'm going to start going around in circles. But thank you for making this discussion so interesting and enjoyable for me, and participating, and it's just been amazing. So if anyone else got any other questions, or thanks, Roy. Yeah, I guess, getting the book done, big part of it is marketing it too. So look out, I'm sure there was Amanda and everyone else who's been doing amazing Tuesday night presentations will give us all the lowdown on how to market our books, because that is the next step after you've written it. Thank you, Keandra. Thank you, Tabitha. Thanks, Cherry. Thanks, Roy. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, great work you're doing here. Thank you, Kate. Thanks, Kat. Thank you, Wilma. Check out all the details. Leonie's courses are awesome. I'm an affiliate. That's why I keep talking about her. So I make commissions when you buy her courses. So just letting you know. But anyway, it worked for me. If you might not need it. Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone. Oh, what other books have I got? Hang on. Oh, yeah, here's another one. Carrie Green. She means business. All of you business women out there and men. It's really good. Female Entrepreneur Association. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Corinne.
Hello, I'm back.
Hi.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm in awe. Just from sitting there listening. That was amazing.
Oh, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being so amazing, hosting this, and everyone helping out, and just the energy. Like, I'm just feeling all of it. It's awesome. It's really fun.
Well,
Such a great community here. Yeah.
100% know what you're talking about, and I don't think there's going to be a single person that's going to leave here tonight with like a question that hasn't been answered, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's good. That's
so
good.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Aww.
But that is our hour up. That went quick, didn't it?
It did. It did. I was like, I mean, when I was halfway through, I was like, hang on. Oh, but then it was just like everyone contributed and it was just amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It went
No, that
really
was
fast.
brilliant.
Yeah.
So Leighanne has her socials, obviously. So she's on Insta and Facebook. Cherry will most likely put that information in the comments. And I'm also of the understanding that she's going to be doing a post tomorrow with links to this live and also with Leighanne's information. So check that out. Leighanne has also informed me that she's got a website, but that's currently under construction. So if you want to see when her website goes live, definitely check out the posts and what have you with all of her information, because you'll have to follow her. And I'm sure she can jump in and disagree if she needs to, but I'm sure all of the information of when her website's going to be live will be up on her socials at some stage. Yes?
Yeah. Yes, that's absolutely right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Remember, guys, check out the 1111hour.com website to purchase your items from the shop over there. And next week's guests include Chris from Will for MND on Tuesday night, and autism advocate Anthea Jane joining on Wednesday night. So next week is a double one. So I hope you guys can show up for that one as well. Thank you so much, Leighanne. That was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I wouldn't have talked that much. You did amazing.
It's just like writing. It just starts.
No, but you knew what you were talking about, and you could just see the energy coming from you. Like, it's definitely a passion of yours, for sure. 100%.
Thank you.
And it showed. So, yeah. Thank you very much for tonight. And I'm assuming it'll be Tabitha and Cherry as of next week, because I'm just filling in. So just me for tonight, guys. Tabitha will be back next week. Won't you, Tab? Good night, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.